This is Markin Out. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Follow on Twitter. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Marking Out. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Brennan likes fisting. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. We're marking out. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans.
Welcome to Markin Out, Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. This is episode 751. That's right, we're back. Make sure you check us out, markinout.com. Also, listen wherever you are downloading and subscribed on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever else you're listening. But also, buy a t-shirt, prowrestlingtees.com/markinout. Make sure you give us a like on Facebook. Give us a follow over on Instagram at markinout11. Also on TikTok at markinout and Twitter at markinout, X at markinout. But follow me, Dave the Rave. No. At David PTDPT. And follow Chris at Chris Sweendog on Twitter and CMSweeney85 on Instagram. And follow Brandon at BTTG161. Today, I am joined by Brandon. Brandon, how are you?
I'm somewhat awesome as always. I'm fighting off, what's it called? Allergies. That's somewhat
nice
new to me. Yeah.
Okay, hopefully you feel better.
Yeah, it's annoying.
You know?
It's very annoying. But how about yourself?
Hopefully you feel better.
How about yourself?
It was great. I'm doing awesome.
I didn't say how was your week. I said how about yourself, and you said it was great.
Hey, week was great. I'm doing great. Doing awesome. Had an exciting week. Fanatics Fest. Boy, oh boy, was it a blast. And safe to say, it definitely took a toll on the both of us.
I would say more so me, probably. I don't want to take anything away from your experience, but but we attended Fanatics Fest NYC on Saturday, which I had a much earlier start to my day than I normally ever would. But I guess in the end, I would say it was worth it to be there and experience everything that we did. It was cool to be at the Javits Center for something on the same level or maybe even bigger than New York Comic Con, because I've been to the Javits Center for a boat show. That's where I met Jimmy Hart, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And I also bought a chopper for some reason. I don't know why they were selling that at a boat show, but I still use it to this day. But it was a huge event. I think right off the bat, seeing Michael Rubin, the CEO of Fanatics, the person putting on this event, just walking the floor and interacting with, I mean, could you say normal people? I would say normal people. To me, that's unexpected.
Everybody.
I've never met a billionaire before that. I was going through my Rolodex in my head. I was like, we met Taylor Swift, but she wasn't a billionaire yet. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've ever... In my head, a billionaire doesn't act the way Michael Rubin does, and it was really cool to see him interact with people like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was really cool to see his interactions and for us to interact with him and have the chance to meet him for a bit. It was really special and incredible because you don't really, like you said, there's not too often that you actually get to interact and talk to somebody who is as successful as he is, and it's just so much respect for him, what he has done, and very admirable. And for me personally, it helps me further set my goals of where I'd like to be in the future and what I want to strive to do. Nothing's actually in stone, but it's nice to have goals, and people like that, it's nice to set goals based off of. And like you said, he was just a normal person walking amongst the floor, interacting with the fans and athletes. And I got to say, he was having a blast. And what a great idea you see the success of Comic-Con to say, you know what? Why shouldn't we do this with sports and athletes?
And I like
Genius.
given that it was New York City, I like that they had the different Statue of Liberty set up in different sporting attires, which I only noticed. We took photos in front of the pro wrestling one. I saw a baseball one, a basketball one. I didn't notice any other ones, but I'm sure if there was wrestling, then there probably had to have been football and everything else.
I think
I don't know.
The only wrestling was they had wrestling, but it was her holding up Statue of Liberty holding up the championship.
Yeah, on a wrestling ring.
Yeah, that's the only one.
But I'm saying other sports. I'm sure there was football, but I didn't see football. I saw baseball. I saw basketball.
Yeah, I didn't even notice. Let's see.
We took pictures.
The only one that stood out to me was
we took pictures.
Yeah, the only one that stood out to me. Oh yeah, true.
And
I think the one that stood out was the basketball because that was just
the basketball one was dunking over the steps.
Yeah, I feel like that's the thing is that the big one that stands out is the basketball one because that was over the steps and also holding an LED projection or whatever you want to call it, basketball.
An LED ball, yeah.
Yeah, working as if it was the sphere.
The WWE, I don't know about that.
No?
I mean, the sphere is like a giant. I mean,
but the way the outside works.
I mean, it's a basketball. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I understand what you mean there. Yeah, the WWE setup I thought was cool. It was like a mini version of Access. We haven't been to WWE World since they took over for WWE. But they had the entrance stage with where people can make their entrances. Athletes and celebrities were doing that part of the Fanatics games. They had a giant WWE championship you could take pictures in front of. The championship store was there. They had all of the John Cena City championships. They had the sporting, the NCAA. They had MLB, I think NBA. The championships as well. I don't know if they had NHL. I'm like second guessing what sport championships they had.
They may have had NHL near the hockey rink that they had.
I'm not sure. But for the entrances, you had Kathy Kelly, Sam Roberts, and Megan Morant doing the judging over there. So it was cool to see them up close in person. I mean, Sam we knew way back when we were doing stuff with the Indies, but I don't think he would remember us. But it was just cool.
He looked over. He saw the T-shirt of Markin Out. He did look over and gave a nod.
Maybe
he did. He did. He did. Don't even. You're trying to gimmick it up on the podcast. He saw the shirt. He looked over. He gave a nod.
So it was cool to see all the wrestling. There could have been a lot more wrestling. I mean, there was wrestling throughout the place, but I feel like there could have been more wrestling. Like the last
I agree with you. I feel like
did,
there could have been more.
The last thing that we did at Fanatics Fest, we walked through the Museum of Greatness, which housed over $200 million worth of the rarest trading cards and memorabilia. And the most famous thing in there for me was Logan Paul's Guinness World Record $5 million Pikachu card. They had the 1909 Honus Wagner card that everyone goes crazy over. And they also had like a LeBron rookie card that I think was worth or purchased for $10 million. They had a bunch of Tom Brady stuff, Michael Jordan stuff. All the top athletes were there. Kobe Bryant.
They had Kobe, Shohei Ohtani.
Billie Jean
King some
was
stuff
represented in there.
Yeah, Ken Griffey Jr., Cal Ripken.
Marvel items for some reason. I didn't understand why that was there. But in that section, it would be like, no pun intended, I thought it would have been a slam dunk to have pro wrestling stuff. So outside of...
I agree.
I mean, Logan Paul wore that card out at WrestleMania 38 in Texas. So technically... It's
I'm not counting it.
Technically, on a technicality, yes, it is, but it's
pop. That's pop culture to me. For me, that's not wrestling related to me. I agree with you.
In actuality, though, he did wear it as part of his gear. So,
sorry.
On a technicality, it is pro wrestling related. It's just not
technicality.
There should have been more.
There could have been more.
Yeah, I mean, especially since WWE Archives houses tons of rare objects, artifacts. Could have thrown out Andre the Giant's boots in there or something like that. Some gear from WrestleMania. SummerSlam's coming up. They were doing the kickoff to the SummerSlam press conference. They could have had SummerSlam gear from the past. But before we get to that, we sat in for a bit at Rich Eisen's show, which it was interesting to see all that stuff live. But we headed to Cold as Balls with Kevin Hart and Wemby, who plays for the San Antonio Spurs. Dude is, how tall is he?
I think 7'4".
That was insane to see. I didn't even realize that the tub difference, the size difference in tubs that they had for Wemby to Kevin Hart was like, I mean, the guy's a giant, so you have to see him obviously fit in a different tub. But that was such a madhouse where I feel like it was the wrong area to have that show. Just because of how popular, and it was throughout the weekend. So if you're backed into a corner like I was, it was very, very hard to navigate out of it. And I feel like it should have been where the Rich Eisen show was, because that was a wide open space with seating. Maybe they wanted it to be in a quieter spot where they could have their own camera set up. I have no idea. At one point when I'm standing there, you had Keegan-Michael Key walk right by me to get into a curtained off area with Kevin Hart. So I thought that was a pretty cool thing to see in person. And then when we walked through the Netflix activities, Kenan Thompson was being mobbed over there. And he went and did all those activities. It would have been cool to meet Kenan Thompson. But just, I mean, it was cool seeing him. We were, like 10 feet away from him?
So I had a chance to actually meet him.
Oh, you did actually meet him?
Yeah, so I actually shook his hand.
Big man over here.
Yeah. So Brandon's speaking for himself right now.
I didn't realize that you met him. I didn't wasn't.
Yeah. I actually shook his hand, and I said, I've been watching you since all that. Thank you for all of the laughs. You're what I say, that you're a comedic genius.
And then he pushed you away, and fans went nuts.
No, he said he just said, he shook his head and just said, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And that was it.
I met Kel Mitchell.
I did not.
Well, I mean, I didn't meet him there. I met him there, just not at Fanatics Fest. I met him at Comic-Con. And I met him at SNL in passing. But in that same section of the Netflix booth, they had a Happy Gilmore 2 setup, which I thought was an absolutely amazing setup there. They were giving away mini cereal boxes of Shooter McGavin's pieces of, what do we say here? I guess you can imagine what they were. Cocoa Pebbles or whatever. Or not Cocoa Pebbles.
Pieces of S.
What are those? What's the cereal, though? Cocoa Puffs. That's what it was.
Cocoa Puffs.
Yeah. So that was really cool. They were giving away posters, too, but I didn't have anywhere to, like, actually carry the poster where it wasn't bent at that time. So
yeah, I didn't take a poster.
Yeah,
there was no signs of MJF there either.
We didn't really look at the crowd photo. The only person that stood out to me in that crowd photo is Bad Bunny.
I didn't look at the crowd photo at all.
Yeah, there could have been Becky Lynch. There could have been MJF. There could have been Nikki Bella as well. I don't know. But you had Tyler Breeze and Big E hosting live card rips on the floor. And they were auctioning off memorabilia as well. So it was cool seeing them host that. You had Chelsea Green at one point. Alexa Bliss was there while we were standing there. So that's where, if you see that video of Chelsea Green that went viral of her holding a baby, it was around that was over time. There. Yeah. So that was pretty cool to see.
The crowd loved Chelsea Green too.
Yeah. I mean, the crowd loved Alexa Bliss too. We went to the kickoff to the SummerSlam press conference, which I hope that's not the last time I see John Cena in a wrestling capacity. I feel like
that's the last time we'll see him at a SummerSlam press conference.
I do feel like it probably is the last time I'll see him in a wrestling capacity, though. But I hope not. They had Michael Cole and Peter Rosenberg hosting it. You had Randy Orton, Nikki Bella, Rhea Ripley, Tiffany Stratton, Jey Uso, Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, Becky Lynch, CM Punk, and Triple H. So it was really cool seeing all of that live. It's on YouTube. You can go check that out on their stream, on WWE's stream of it. And of course, you could see all our videos on TikTok. Those are doing some serious numbers for me at least. And you can see it on our YouTube page. We also went to Mental Mania, the panel with mentalist Dustin Dean. And Tiffany Stratton was a panelist there. You had Jacob Fatu. Liv Morgan, unfortunately, was also supposed to be part of it, but she was not at Fanatics Fest due to her injury. But that was cool to see them. It was cool to see them interact and do some of that, the mentalist stuff, even though we caught him in a lie, I guess.
Yeah, I wish that we didn't look so close at what the numbering was on his phone. But I don't think it lined up.
Yeah, well.
But that was definitely entertaining, and I think that Tiffany Stratton and Fatu were great people there. It's unfortunate it's unfortunate they didn't replace Liv Morgan with anybody.
Yeah.
I think like if they had like Dirty Dom do it, that would have been cool.
Yeah, maybe he might have been like signing at those times though, so that's why. Maybe that's why they couldn't get a replacement.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I think it was a great experience. I really do wish we could have gone multiple days, but I'm like still recovering from walking around the Javits Center like that. I'm no spring chicken.
Yeah, and I mean, and I got to be honest, I don't know if I would be able to either. Like my back was really locked up towards the end of it, and my hips were starting to feel it. So yeah, I think that if we did try to go back on Sunday, it wasn't going to be a full day.
Yeah, but it's definitely an event that I would like to see again. I think
yes, and if anybody has a chance to go, definitely go.
Yeah, I think even if you're not. In my head, I was questioning, like, why would somebody go to this and pay that price if they're not meeting anybody or taking photos with anybody? Just having walked the floor, I think for admission, admission was $60. I think because you have access to all the panels and stuff and how many interactive things there are to do there, I think it's worth the price.
100%. I agree.
I would say definitely check that out.
I think that if you get the chance, do it.
Yeah. But we had, like we said, great time, Fanatics Fest. We had Monday Night Raw this past week, kicking off with what I'm just going to call them the Dangerous Alliance. I saw a video from Fanatics Fest, by the way, of Seth Rollins. Somebody asked him if he could sign his item, a Paul Heyman guy. And Seth Rollins said, I'm not a Paul Heyman guy. He's a Seth Rollins guy.
Oh.
I thought that was very interesting. I don't know if that'll ever come into play on TV, but I thought it was very interesting to hear Seth Rollins say that he's not actually a Paul Heyman guy. And it honestly, makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it's never been stated that he's a Paul Heyman guy, and I totally dig it. And I'm just going to bring up that seeing all the WWE interactions like the Seth Rollins and CM Punk attacking each other.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. And then John Cena getting involved with that too. And then I think John Cena coming out of it with his participation in the sporting events that they were doing. That was pretty funny. Especially with him trying to hit
where he
punching bag.
Deliberately missed everything.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. We didn't get a chance to do the swing the chair and hit Logan Paul though.
But wrestling, I felt like was well represented there. It could have been represented a lot more. Maybe it's just because I'm a pro wrestling fan. It's what I noticed the fans dressed as and wearing the most merchandise from.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you felt like that as well. Looking back at pictures, I feel like I'm seeing a lot more Yankees and Mets stuff, but
I feel like the wrestling stuff really stood out to me the most.
And with
I don't know if that's because
with the entrances, though, the theme song that I heard the most, I think, was Jey Uso.
Yeah, that's safe to say. I think that overall, I wasn't really looking. I don't know, maybe because I was focused on pro wrestling, but it looked like there was so many pro wrestling fans there.
Yeah, I think that might just be because we're pro wrestling fans. I'm not sure, but in my mind, wrestling was very well represented by the fans.
Agreed.
So Monday Night Raw, we had Seth Rollins basically calling the fans out for cheering everybody, singing his song. And he said that everything the fans want exists because of him. Which I understand him saying that. A lot of this segment for me, it felt unnecessary. I felt like it could have been shorter. Mm-hmm. Seth Rollins said that basically everyone's running a race in second place. They're in first place. They are the finish line. I like that line. And everyone else is in second.
Yeah, it was a solid line.
You could have ripped a little bit of this off. And then it led into the next match, the first match. You had Braun Breaker pick up the victory over Penta. This started during a commercial break, which I always hate. But during another commercial break, Braun Breaker dropped Penta. And they showed it when they came back. He dropped Penta ribs first onto the ring post. And I thought that was a really cool spot.
That was a really nasty spot, too.
Yeah. And I thought we were about to see a 3 count after that Breakensteiner, but Penta kicked out of that. He eventually super kicked Braun Breaker when he went for a spear. Eventually hits that Mexican Destroyer, and Braun Breaker kicked out of that. And then Braun Breaker obviously hits that huge spear on Penta when Penta went for a springboard move. That was a huge clip that went all over Twitter this week. Somebody even turned it into I think it's like a Mortal Kombat sort of video. I thought that was a cool thing.
Yeah, I saw that too. That was pretty awesome. And I'm like just a little bit taken back that with all of this, I personally think that Braun Breaker should be the spear person, not Charlotte Flair, not even Jey Uso anymore. Huh?
There's a clip of Undertaker going over the internet saying that.
I did see Taker said that too, but I know I said it on the podcast, I think last week even. I think too many people do the spear.
I think it's what you make of it, though.
I disagree.
I think it's what you do with the spear.
I don't know. I Penta dive to the outside and I spit on that opinion.
Yeah, I wonder. Santos Escobar said that that's a trade secret. I wonder if that was actually legit. If you follow the spit or something, I don't know.
No way.
I have no idea.
Why is it that we've never seen that before?
I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe that was the only time that it actually appeared on TV. I have no idea.
No, I can't believe that one. I can't believe that.
I can't say yes. I can't say no. But Seth Rollins, the outcome of this, Seth Rollins told Penta to stay out of his way. And then later on, Chad Gable was very happy about this loss. Penta kept telling him to stop. Chad Gable kept provoking him, and Penta ends up attacking Chad Gable. Chad Gable's unfortunately out with an undisclosed injury.
Yeah, well, they said they mentioned, I forgot where I read it, but apparently he's going to undergo shoulder surgery.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah. So that sucks.
But Ludwig Kaiser was lurking in the background of that.
Mm-hmm.
Some fans are...
Yeah, I saw that too.
Some are theorizing that could potentially be El Grande Americano. Would be interesting. It would be interesting to see, because we think we know Chad Gable's El Grande Americano, and then he's off TV. We're told he's getting shoulder surgery, and then El Grande
Americano. Why would people
Americano
assume that would be? Well, why would they assume that would be? That would be part of the storyline.
I just why would Ludwig Kaiser be there? Who knows?
I don't know. That's a hard sell for me, brother.
Who knows? After that, we had an interview from Goldberg, which I feel like this was kind of unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
The main part of this was just that we now know that match at Saturday night's main event is, in fact, Goldberg's retirement match. Michael Cole questioned, what if you win the World Heavyweight Championship? And I forget what the exact line is, but he's like, well, that'd be interesting. I don't know what would happen. But later on, Gunther spoke live in the ring. He put Goldberg over as the most destructive, I guess, wrestler. I don't know exactly what he said there. Most destructive person in of his generation. But it's not 1998 anymore. And he's the best in the company. It sounded like a majority of the fans were cheering Gunther here.
I think that most people are going to.
They were booing and chanting Goldberg, though, too, so I don't know. It'll be an interesting thing to hear. I think this segment was so much better than that Goldberg sit-down interview. Gunther cooked here.
Agreed.
Like, if you went prior to this Monday Night Raw, you're like, why the hell do I want to see Goldberg versus Gunther? That was it. That was selling you it.
Yeah, I agree. That sold me on it big time. You know?
We had Jade Cargill pick up the victory over Roxanne Perez to advance in the Queen of the Ring to the finals. You had Finn Balor.
Roxanne Perez.
You had Finn Balor beforehand. Finn Balor fired up Raquel Rodriguez. And then we found out that Dominic is actually out with an injury, so his match with AJ Styles is off of Night of Champions. And then Adam Pearce said that the Judgment Day will face New Day for the tag team titles next week. This match, though, Jade Cargill, Roxanne Perez, was a lot of cat and mouse.
Yeah.
I think
a lot of cat and mouse, and Perez going after Cargill's leg throughout. I mean, even getting the steel steps involved with the post, you know?
Yeah. I think they definitely used Jade's strengths for her advantages in this, and they used Roxanne's quickness. So, I don't think there was ever a doubt in my mind that Jade wasn't winning this. So, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with the tag team championships. I can only assume that it will be Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez versus the Bella Twins, like I said the other week. Maybe we'll put a pin in that.
Yeah.
Later on, we saw Raquel Rodriguez call out Rhea Ripley, and Rhea came out. They brawled. Roxanne Perez eventually came out, and Rhea Ripley ended up going through a table with Tejana Bomb. This is where I put the pin. I don't know, because this kind of looked like they were setting up Rhea Ripley to team up with Nikki Bella versus the Judgment Day.
Yeah, but it doesn't go that way, potentially.
Like,
next up, you had Becky Lynch.
I was still hoping that Brie Bella would be involved. Maybe at this point, maybe she's just going to be managing Rhea Ripley and Nikki Bella. Next week we have, or not next week, on the Night of Champions event, there's a street fight with Rhea Ripley and Raquel Rodriguez. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, next up you had Becky Lynch pick up the victory over Bayley to retain her championship, but it was by DQ. Lyra Valkyria attacked at ringside, you know?
Yeah.
Attacking at ringside. Becky Lynch, and Lynch retaining.
Bayley wore the gear that she apparently planned to wear at WrestleMania. So I like that little aspect of that. But I thought this was a great match. They had a lot of good reversals in this match. The belly to back suplex from Becky Lynch, I thought was really nice. I liked Bayley doing the manhandle slam. Becky at one point buried Bayley under chairs by the commentary table. That's when Lyra Valkyria showed up. And Becky Lynch ended up attacking Lyra, and Lyra didn't hit her. She was staying composed. And then Becky Lynch ended up taking Lyra Valkyria out right before Bayley went for the elbow drop. Lyra ends up attacking Becky Lynch.
Yeah.
And then that, of course, pisses Bayley off.
So I think that it's safe to say that mentioned how you mentioned about the triple threat.
Yeah.
I think that's
I'm very much so. I'm looking
happen.
forward to that. Who walks out with the Intercontinental Championship? My fingers would be crossed for Bayley. I don't know the outcome. I can't picture an outcome of that just yet.
Yeah. Next up, you had the main event of the evening. Cody Rhodes picked up the victory over Jey Uso in the King of the Ring semifinals. You had from figure four, sleeper holds, and superplexes. This was a solid match.
Yeah, and I like that they each knew what each other was going to do.
Yeah.
I like
Agreed.
Jay tried to use the crossroads. Cody eventually tried one, and Jay reversed it and actually did hit the crossroads. Obviously, he's out there hitting multiple spears, multiple super kicks. He went for an Uso splash, and Cody got up to the top and hit Jey Uso with a Cody cutter. I think it was the third overall Cody cutter of that match. Mm-hmm. And then he hit a crossroads, picks up the win. Goes on to Night of Champions. We'll talk about that in a moment.
Yeah.
Moving over to NXT.
Kicking off with Trick Williams defending his TNA World title against Josh Briggs. Picks up the victory. Hard-hitting match. Very competitive.
Yeah.
And once he hit that trick shot, that was it.
There was a lot of good back and forth. But Trick Williams, he tried to take Inamura out early on, and he ends up blocking it. Josh Briggs takes him down. I think Josh Briggs had a great showing in this match against Trick Williams. Even he chokeslammed Trick at one point. Almost won. And Trick got his hand on the rope there. And also he hit the lariat. Ends up missing the moonsault, and then that led to the trick shot. So, overall, good title defense for Trick Williams. Trick went to speak afterwards, and Joe Hendry interrupted and attacked Trick Williams from behind. He's going to be one of Trick's opponents for Slammiversary.
Yeah, I didn't even realize. How long has it been since we've seen him?
WrestleMania?
It's been a while. Yeah. I think so.
Which people were like, it's worn off. Their fans aren't cheering him anymore. Which you could literally see people clapping and singing in the crowd.
Yeah.
I don't get it. They have a new favorite. Mr.
Agree.
Iguana is their new favorite. I hate the IWC. I hate the IWC.
I know.
I could say
Next up, you had Javon Evans. Yeah. Next up, you had Javon Evans pick up the victory over Tavion Heights. Heights, he got the power to go very far, I feel, but Javon Evans, just a little bit too much high flyer.
The clothesline from Tavion Heights I thought was amazing.
Yeah. I agree.
But this means that Tavion Heights stays in No Quarter Catch Crew. Jasper Troy attacked Javon Evans after the match, which we'll put a pin in.
Yeah, hitting. Yeah, I'm a fan that he's hitting that black hole slam.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll put a pin in that one.
After that, you had Ricky Saints pick up the victory over Ashanti the Adonis. I think this was an obvious win. Not a completely one-sided match, but I don't think it's a big win for Ricky Saints.
No. Saints hitting the Rochambeau and picking up the victory. But something interesting was the North American champ, Ethan Page, coming out and attacking Ricky Saints.
I like the setup for that, where Ethan Page appeared on the screen and then the screen froze. I literally just thought it was going to be like we're having video issues or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And Ethan Page showed up from behind and attacked Ricky Saints. Hit him with the Rochambeau as well. And then Ava set up a meeting between the two of them for next week. I have to assume it's leading to some big payoff match at Great American Bash. What match, though? I don't know.
It has to be a payoff match with that one.
What's the stipulation, you think?
Oh. No DQ?
Hell in a Cell? No, I'm just kidding.
No.
I'm just kidding. Could you imagine? That'd be a huge thing. I could see them doing something goofy like that because they're going against AEW or going against in quotes.
I can't even see that. I can't even imagine it. Sorry.
After that, Obafemi came out and he spoke about putting all challengers down one after the other, and he's getting restless. There's no competition. So he challenged anybody in the back to come out to take the title from him, and that's when Inamura showed up and said that he missed the passion from the NXT fans and he wants to pay them back by becoming champion. And Oba said that he'll take the fall just like everyone else. And then Jasper Troy came out and attacked Inamura, which sets up Inamura versus Troy for next week. Jasper Troy.
Meh.
To see who will face the champion at Great American Bash.
We'll find out what happens.
You had Stax pick up the victory over Tony D'Angelo to become the new Heritage Cup champion. This was unfortunate because we found out it was supposed to be Stax versus Noam Dar. Noam Dar, we found out, was injured. People don't know if it was a legit injury or just storyline or what. But Luca got Tony this match after it was announced that Noam Dar was injured and would have to vacate. Round one between the two of them I thought was pretty even. Both of them kept going after the bell, which is against the rules. But Tony got the first
Stax.
fall. Tony got the first fall in round two after a spear. Stax took a cheap shot after round three and then used that to tie it up in round four. And then Luca finally, Tony was out there with no corner man. Stax had a bunch of goons with him. Luca finally made his way out, and Tony ends up attacking the goons. Luca accidentally hit Tony D'Angelo with a bucket, trying to help Tony. That cost him the match. That cost him the cup. And then Luca helped Tony up afterwards. Tony ends up taking Luca out.
But also, like, Stax just going after Tony's knee. You know? Hey, I think that this is a big moment for Stax.
We don't know who the consigliere is, though. And I don't think it's going to be Luca for Stax. I said that the other week.
Yeah.
The main event.
I can see that happening.
Main event saw Jordan Grace pick up the victory over Izzy Dame, Jada Parker, and Lash Legend to gain that title shot at Great American Bash.
I mean,
at
that
Evolution.
Tower of Doom spot.
Wait, was it Evolution or?
Evolution.
Yeah.
The Evolution Eliminator.
Before this match, though, Izzy Dame ended up giving Tatum Paxley a doll and said that she'd like to have her out there with her for the main event, which Zaruka questioned Izzy about. And then the Culling seemingly welcomed Tatum into the group, maybe, but not really into the group. And then Tatum, during the match, ends up tripping Jada. Zaruka came out. Zarya carried Tatum Paxley to the back. And then we get the actual match going. The match was actually already going, but no more outside interference. I like that Jordan Grace did that crossbody to Lash Legend, which went into the pin for Parker. And then, like you said, that Tower Doom spot, it had Jordan Grace do a sunset flip powerbomb from the top rope to trigger Izzy and Lash, which then triggered a superplex onto Jada Parker. I thought that hypnotic codebreaker big boot sequence was really nice. Jordan Grace eventually won with the Torture Rack bomb. I think.
Yeah, and she's number one contender now for JC Jane's championship.
I think the writing was on the wall for that, but I have to believe that we're seeing Blake Monroe versus JC Jane at Great American Bash. And then Blake Monroe wins. I don't know. I could definitely see. I can't see Blake Monroe not being on Evolution.
I can't see Jordan Grace losing to JC Jane, though.
that's not going to happen because it's going to be Blake Monroe versus Jordan Grace, I think. Great American Bash takes place, and then Evolution takes place the next day.
True. That's possible.
We'll have to see.
What, you would... I don't know if I would title strap Blake Monroe so fast.
I don't know. If you're having Great American Bash and then you're having... I can't see... I don't know what Great American Bash is going to be if we have Evolution the next day. I really can't see Blake Monroe not being part of either of those shows.
Yeah.
And if Blake Monroe is somehow in that match against JC Jane, we saw Fatal Influence put her through the table. If that's not the match, I'd be shocked. I think that's all the reason why Blake Monroe could walk out as champion and then go to Evolution. And then beat Jordan Grace.
It's possible.
I think it's very possible.
Yeah.
So that's
definitely
NXT.
possible.
Moving over to SmackDown. It kicked off with Cody Rhodes, and he got a huge pop. Before he could say anything, Randy Orton interrupted. The fans sang his theme song. That was awesome. You could see our TikTok from the press conference, the kickoff to SummerSlam press conference, where the fans did that as well. It's very surreal getting to hear that live. It's awesome. But Randy Orton put over Cody Rhodes versus Jey Uso from Monday Night Raw, and then the feed cut out. That was the end of that. I have no idea. That it was apparently an outage in the arena. I don't know what the rest of it was, but I'm sure you could assume it was obviously hype up for King and Queen of the Ring, for, well, I guess King of the Ring in this instance, but for Night of Champions. The first match saw Jeff Cobb pick up the victory over Jimmy Uso. I thought the match was fine. Solo stood in the way of, or stood in front of Jeff Cobb to stop Jimmy, and it wasn't the last time that Solo got involved. It eventually led to Jeff Cobb getting the win. I liked Michael Cole comparing Jeff Cobb to Taz. It's nice to hear that sort of a shout out. But Solo helped Jimmy up, asked if he was ready to come back to the bloodline. He opened up his arms for a hug. Jimmy slapped him. Jeff Cobb attacked him from behind. Solo goes to hit a Samoan spike, and Jacob Fatu ran down to make the save. And Jimmy shoved Jacob Fatu out of the way to stop Solo. He hit a super kick. And then later on, Jimmy Uso said that he didn't need Jacob Fatu's help. And Jacob Fatu was like, well, I didn't need your help the other week either. And Jimmy brought up respect and how he respects Jacob Fatu for standing up to Solo Sikoa. Something that he said he should have done a long time ago. We had Julia pick up the victory over Zelina Vega to become the new U.S. champion. This was a pretty even match. I like that neck breaker off the apron from Julia. The Meteora into the steps from Zelina Vega I thought was nice. I just wish that they went outside less. But Zelina Vega hit a code red. Julia leaned, I don't even, she folded up further back. I don't even know how to say that. To get her foot on the rope. I thought that was a nice breakup of the pin. And Zelina Vega went for a moonsault. Julia moved. She hit a Arrivederci, another knee, and then hit that Northern Lights bomb to win. I wish Zelina Vega's reign was longer and better. I hope this means that the championship's going to be treated better. You had Jade Cargill and Asuka interviewed. The fans were fully behind Asuka. And Asuka said that Jade has power, but she has skills and she has experience. And then Naomi interrupted to remind everyone she has the money in the bank. She also spoke about ruining Jade's big moment. And Jade went to go after Naomi by pushing Asuka out of the way. She didn't get to Naomi. Instead, she ends up getting attacked and taken out by Asuka. After that, we had Andrade and Rey Fenix pick up the victory over DIY. Earlier, DIY tried to hype up the whole tag team division on SmackDown against the Wyatt Six. And Nick Aldis showed up and he asked Andrade how he'd like finding a partner and then facing DIY. And that match was set up. Andrade and Phoenix worked very well together as a team. And this was a fun match. This match was amazing. This was fun. You had that shatter machine spot from DIY I thought was really nice. Probably worked against Johnny Gargano with a potentially hurt knee from earlier on in the match. But Andrade, he flipped out of the powerbomb and hit that Meteora. He went for the moonsault that he does. Johnny Gargano moved, but he moved into the moonsault, so Andrade just did a splash instead of the normal, like the double jump moonsault that he does. Johnny Gargano ends up reversing the message. Phoenix hit a blind tag and did a German suplex over Andrade, which was great. In the end, Phoenix hit the Mexican Muscle Buster on Ciampa. Andrade hit the message and picked up the victory. This was a very, very good match. Earlier, Aleister Black went to talk to Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis as well. But R-Truth showed up, barged right in, interrupted, said that he wants John Cena. Nick Aldis apologized to Aleister Black, and Aleister Black, he was like, he shushed him or whatever and followed R-Truth. And then later on, R-Truth came out to call John Cena out, but Aleister Black showed up from behind instead, rocked him with a black mass. And then after that, Damian Priest spoke to Aleister Black backstage and said, next time, do it face to face. And then Carmelo Hayes showed up and said Damian Priest should mind his own business while he wasn't minding his own business. And I thought that was really funny. You had the Street Profits versus the Wyatt Six go to a no contest. It was cool hearing the fans sing he's got the whole world in his hands. But Motor City Machine Guns, Fraxium, Los Garza, DIY, they all showed up ringside. I thought the match was decent until it broke apart. Los Garza pulled Loomis out of the ring, and Dawkins ends up pouncing Loomis into Los Garza. And then basically from there, everyone brawled. You had Eric Rowan get involved. He took the heels out. The faces took him out. The Street Profits, Uncle Howdy took Axiom out. The Street Profits took Uncle Howdy out. Then the Wyatts, and then everyone. So they came out on top there. But it was a very chaotic segment. I have no idea where this is leading to with the Tag Team Championships. But I'm looking forward to it. In the main event, we saw Tiffany Stratton pick up the victory over Nia Jax in a last woman standing match to retain the championship. Nia Jax attacked Tiffany Stratton while the referee was still holding up the championship for the introductions and got that match started right away. They did a lot more counting than I expected, a lot more like close to 10 spots, but I guess that was a good way to stretch the time. You had Nia Jax put Tiffany Stratton on a table at one point. She splashed her off the apron. Nia Jax took more tables out, which I'll put a pin in. They ended up brawling up the ramp, and Nia went right into the entrance Tron. And then Tiffany Stratton got a production case involved. Nia Jax at one point, they were back in the ring. She hit an Annihilator. She then put a chair on top of Tiffany Stratton and hit another Annihilator, which is a crazy thing to get up from. I thought that was a crazy spot right there. 2 tables they had set up ringside still. Nia Jax had another one set up in the ring. She went to Samoan drop Tiffany Stratton from the middle rope onto the table. Stratton got out of it, powerbombed Nia Jax through that table, and then Naomi ran down. Tiffany Stratton took her out while she was trying to cash in. She used the Money in the Bank briefcase to take Nia Jax out. She hit the prettiest moonsault ever onto Nia Jax, who was laid on top of Naomi. And then Nia Jax tries to suplex Tiffany Stratton out of the ring through the 2 tables. Stratton reverses that, clocks Nia Jax with the briefcase, boom, goes through those tables to pick up the victory. I thought that was a great match for Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton. I wish that was the actual close of the show. Until the actual close of the show, you had John Cena and CM Punk do a face-to-face, their final face-to-face before Night of Champions. John Cena basically came out and said that CM Punk really can't do anything else to him. And then Basic Thugonomics hits with a Tron saying Punk life. And CM Punk came out dressed like the Doctor of Thugonomics, popped the absolute hell out of me. He literally started dropping bars because Cena ripped off the pipe bomb last week. He's ripping off the Doctor of Thugonomics. I couldn't think of anything else that these two could possibly do before Night of Champions. This was fantastic. This was a great close to SmackDown. I can't say enough great things about that, but that's SmackDown. Moving over to WWE Night of Champions. We'll start with the singles match. Sami Zayn versus Karrion Kross.
I'm going to go with Sami Zayn picking up victory on this one.
I'm saying Sami Zayn as well, but do we see Sami turn heel or no?
No, not at Night of Champions. I don't see that.
We'll
How
see.
would he turn heel against Karrion Kross?
Not against Karrion Kross.
Where, later on?
Somewhere, yeah.
I wouldn't say at Night of Champions, but I do think that he's going to win.
Against like CM Punk or something?
Nah.
Street
Not
fight.
seeing it.
Rhea Ripley versus Raquel Rodriguez. I think it has to be Rhea Ripley. Maybe. I don't know. I don't think it has to be Rhea Ripley,
yeah.
but
I mean, it should be Rhea Ripley.
I think we could potentially
I'm going
see
Rhea.
Nikki Bella. I don't know if my setup is correct. I don't know.
I'm going Rhea Ripley.
For the United
Next up,
States Championship, Jacob Fatu versus Solo Sikoa. Jacob Fatu.
Jacob Fatu, no doubt about it. Let's go on to the singles match for the undisputed WWE Championship. John Cena defending against CM Punk. I'm going John Cena.
Yeah. I'm going to say John Cena as well. I was trying to think whether or not I see like a DQ sort of finish where it ends up being CM Punk. But I'm going to say John Cena.
All right. Queen of the Ring Tournament Finals, where the winner is the Queen of the Ring and receives a match for their brand's World Championship at SummerSlam. Asuka versus Jade Cargill. As much as I would love to see Asuka in that position once again, I'm going Jade Cargill. What do you think?
I think it would make sense for Jade Cargill to win because then her storyline, she goes to SummerSlam, she faces Tiffany Stratton. We have Naomi with the Money in the Bank briefcase. If Asuka wins, it's Asuka going on to face Io Sky, which I would really like to see.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very difficult. I'm going to say Jade Cargill.
Okay.
But my fingers are crossed for Asuka.
I know. Next up, the King of the Ring finals for the men. Randy Orton taking on Cody Rhodes. The winner, of course, goes on to be the King of the Ring and also have their championship match at SummerSlam. So now the question is, do we see Randy Orton versus John Cena or Cody Rhodes versus John Cena?
The writing is on the wall. SummerSlam, Cody versus John Cena. Come on, there's no way. There's no way Randy
so
Orton.
the thing...
There's no way.
Like, it's... I know. Like, but then I need to see Randy Orton versus John Cena again. They have to have John Cena versus Randy Orton one more time. No?
Because of the outcome, I don't know. I don't feel like we need to. It ended the same way all the other ones did.
That's true. And right now, you're correct. Because I believe their series is actually tied. I think they're at six apiece. So, yeah. I'm going with Cody Rhodes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's Night of Champions. Going to take a quick little break, and I'll be right back here on Markin Out.
What up? It's the Friday Night Delight, FKA John Morrison, and you're listening to Markin Out.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Markin Out episode 751. Going back to AEW Collision from last week, it kicked off with Jon Moxley picking up the victory over AR Fox via referee's decision. This is dumb to me. Jon Moxley shouldn't be wrestling AR Fox. The match against AR Fox when you're Jon Moxley shouldn't be going more than a minute. Fox doesn't win any matches in AEW, plain and simple. And I think what's worse is that Wheeler Yuta also had to get involved here. Yet FTR and the Don Callis family pick up the victory over Bandito, Daniel Garcia, and Paragon. This was another all-star tag match that just did not need to happen. Adam Cole looked like a joke. Bandito looked like a joke. All the heels beat them down afterwards. Cash cued production. Commentary actually spoke about it. I don't understand how they left that in. Maybe it was live. I have no idea. And then the Outrunners came out, all four members of the team, and Stokely took off as if the freaking Outrunners or the Hurt Business or something like that. I'll put a pin in that. You had Swerve pick up the victory over Shane Taylor. This match went almost 10 minutes. And like AR Fox, Shane Taylor, he never wins in AEW. Since 2022, Shane Taylor has won 3 televised matches. I get Shane Taylor's size, but when you're someone who never wins, I don't understand having a 10-minute match against someone who's billed as the top of the freaking company. I don't understand that. And this match, for some reason, why did it have comedy in it? There was no reason to have the dancing. There was no reason to have the gambling. Tony Schiavone got off commentary to gamble. I thought that was so goofy. And the only thing that I enjoyed was that angle slam that Swerve did from the middle rope. You had Tony Storm speak about how Mercedes won another title and question if that's all that she is to her. I think this was the most the women's championship has looked like it's mattered in weeks to me, with the exception of all the gimmick stuff from Tony Storm, because I hate that stuff. You had the conglomeration pick up the victory over Maximum Male Models and Taya Valkyrie. Somewhat of a rematch from a few weeks ago, but now it's Hologram as part of the group. If they keep showing us stuff with these people weekly, then it can be a feud that people can get behind. But if it's start and stop, how could you get behind it? Aubrey did a 1 count. Madden just stayed in the ring. I didn't mind the distraction spot from John Morrison. I just want a proper feud from these two teams if that's what we're doing here. And I would like referees that actually count when the illegal competitor stays in the freaking ring. You had Chris Statlander interviewed afterwards. She was annoyed that she's not wrestling. Wheeler Yuta interrupted and she yelled at him. And she got super quiet. She got shaky when Jon Moxley, she turned around right into Jon Moxley. And then Jon Moxley, for the first time in months, seems like someone I want to watch on TV. And he tells her to never let anyone tell her who she is and what she's worth. Like a mentor of a story sort of thing going on there. I thought that was the best that anything that the Death Riders have ever done in months. I thought that was the best. You had the Don Callis family come out. Don Callis hyped up a new member and brought out Okada. I think the Elite posted that like he's on loan or whatever. Maybe they didn't post that. I don't know. Mark Briscoe came out, said that he's Kenny's friend, but he's not Kenny's only friend. And brought out Ibushi, who hasn't been seen since 2023. He walked slow to the ring. He was very slow in the sequence with Josh Alexander. And then he and Okada did those stupid forearm shots that really never looked like they hurt. It was nice to see Ibushi, but I'll put a pin in that. The Workhorsemen and the Learning Tree brawled. I thought we were going to see an actual match there. But the family came out afterwards with, or the patriarchy. And Christian said that he and Nick Wayne will become tag team champions. First father and son tag team champions. This segment doesn't even make sense given that the champions are the Hurt Business. You had Kevin Knight and Speedball Mike Bailey pick up the victory over the Gates of Agony. You would think a few weeks ago that they were building Gates of Agony up, and then they just disappeared for a month. Ricochet did commentary. I thought it was really funny when Toa Leona, he was putting Toa Leona over, and he angrily went up to Ricochet, and Ricochet got all scared. I thought that was really funny. But Gates of Agony, I think they're the perfect representation of a lot of AEW's booking. When they win, they're winning against people who don't matter. And when they lose, they're matches that they should have won. How do you get invested in a team if they're just beating enhancement talent? You had Athena, Megan Bayne, Penelope Ford, Tekla pick up the victory over Queen Aminata, TJ, and Thunder Rosa. There were a bunch of storylines going on in this match, which is why Tony Khan made it. But there's no reason, for me at least, to combine storylines. The men are already doing it. A ton of combined storyline matches. There's no reason to do it for the women too. They get featured so much less on AEW television. And I think the women deserve so much better. For some reason, AEW just can't give them 3 separate matches that they deserve. The only thing from this that made sense was Athena's promo beforehand, saying that she doesn't like any of them that she's teaming up with. This match, we saw TJ get into the ring for their spot early. The referee not caring at all. Tekla got in the ring, referee didn't care. Thunder Rosa and Athena fought on the apron. The referee didn't care. It was beyond chaotic. I couldn't remember who was legal at times. And Tekla, ultimately, you bring her in, this big freaking debut, looks like an afterthought now. Megan Bayne looked like a big star again for about a minute. And then Athena and Thunder Rosa squaring off was probably the best part of this match. Because to me, that's probably the biggest feud here. Red Velvet randomly showed up, put the championship in the ring for Athena to use while Billy Starks distracted the referee. And then the referee counts. He has to see Billy Starks taking the title from the ring. But that's the end of Collision for that week. AEW Dynamite kicked off with Mercedes attacking Toni Storm. Mina Shirakawa eventually ran out and Mercedes left. I liked that opening. You had Swerve and Will Ospreay pick up the victory over Blake Christian and Lee Johnson. This was supposed to take place later on, but the Young Bucks had this move as their as the EVPs. They had it moved up. So Swerve and Ospreay couldn't be warmed up. I think that would be a fantastic storyline if their opponents weren't Blake Christian and Lee Johnson, who never win in AEW. Literally a combined 0 TV wins between the two of them. Truly a ridiculous matchup. And this is one of those other matches like the AR Fox and Jon Moxley. How does it go more than a minute? How does it go more than 2 minutes? They're supposed to be main event attractions. And then they're just having Blake Christian and Lee Johnson rule the ring. The Young Bucks came out to watch. They went after them after they won. And security held them apart. Swerve challenged them for All In. Ospreay made them put the EVP title on the line. I'm very surprised Will Ospreay's not featured in a bigger match. He's the only person that ever pointed, from my memory, that ever pointed to one of those All In signs. You had Ibushi pick up the victory over Trent. Rocky got involved multiple times. Ibushi seemed better in this than he was on Collision, but he's still slower. And it's kind of sad to see Ibushi like that. But like I said, it's nice to see him back in the ring. Hopefully we'll see more from him. Okada came out afterwards and then he left, and that match gets set up for next week. So many people were like, oh, Ibushi's 100%. He looks the best he's ever looked. Physically, he looks great. In the ring, he was much slower than he was. Yet Jet Speed pick up the victory over AR Fox and Ricochet. Ricochet pitched them teaming. Storyline-wise, I think it's dumb to pick someone who never wins. AR Fox looked great in the match. He always does. But he needs wins. And Ricochet left him there to lose. Speedball said that the tag titles have been held hostage long enough. They want the titles. And then the Hurt Business attacked them. And then the Hurt Business spoke. MVP begged for someone to stand up to the champions. And he said that if Jet Speed gets up, he'll give them a title shot at All In. MJF spoke about unmasking Mystico, who, by the way, showed up on MLW this week, which was very bizarre to see. And he attacked Mystico. And then MJF said that he'll be entering the qualifying match for the Gauntlet. Hangman beating Jon Moxley and then having MJF immediately cash in, I think would be great. And having MJF actually win the championship, I think would be awesome. But Mark Briscoe came out and asked him to leave so that he could go wrestle. They went back and forth. Mark Briscoe, I'm sure the internet will say it's not. What he said was a bit anti-Semitic. I know he's not an anti-Semitic person, but I think what he said was anti-Semitic. I didn't care for that promo. And I 100% I understand what they're saying, blah, blah, blah. MJF could have approved it, whatever. I don't see the reason for having that. Mark Briscoe picked up the victory over Takeshita, Bandito, and Roderick Strong to get that number 1 spot in the Casino Gauntlet Battle Royal. This was an exciting match. Every time I thought Takeshita was about to win, the pin would be broken up or there'd be a kick out. And I was very surprised to see Mark Briscoe win this. The finish, I think, sucked because it took too long, but I was surprised to see Takeshita lose, and I'm happy to see Mark Briscoe get that win. Do I think Mark Briscoe's winning the Casino Gauntlet Battle Royal? No, but he's being used. Chris Statlander picked up the victory over Athena, Willow Nightingale, and Thunder Rosa to get that number 1 spot. I was hoping that Chris Statlander was going to win due to that talk from Jon Moxley. I liked when she and Willow went at one another because they kept reversing each other. They knew what each other was going to do. They know one another so well. I like the stuff with Thunder Rosa and Athena as well. I think we know they have a match. I think we know. So it made sense that neither of them won. Marina Shafir came out and distracted Willow Nightingale. Then Wheeler Yuta showed up and Willow pounced him. Chris Statlander took advantage of that and got the win. So it looked like she was maybe with the Death Riders. I don't think she's with the Death Riders. I don't think that'll happen at all. Main event saw Hangman Adam Page get the victory over Black Taurus. I don't know why this took place. Because Black Taurus teamed with the Death Riders last week. I just want LFI to be LFI. It's been a few weeks since we've seen them. The match I thought was good at least. And then after the match, the lights go out. When they came back on, the Young Bucks somehow had Adam Page in the BTE trigger. They hit it. And then the Death Riders came out. Mox choked Hangman out with the chain. The Ops showed up. And they all stayed in the ring. And they kept the Ops out. And the only reason why the Death Riders ran off and the Young Bucks is because Will Ospreay ran out? How does that make sense? How does that make sense? Samoa Joe stays out of the ring, but Will Ospreay goes in by himself and they all scatter? That's goofy. We had Collision take place early this week. So the Outrunners and FTR opened it with a face-to-face. FTR questioned what went wrong with their friendship because they did nothing wrong. It was Edge who did something wrong. It was Daniel Garcia. It was the Outrunners. And Dax had a video package to show off their friendship. He brought up how they might be jealous and how the Outrunners blew their championship spot. He also said the Outrunners are basically a comedy act, and the fans will eventually turn on them, and they'll never be as good as FTR. This sets up a match for next week. I thought it was going to be for All In, but they had a fired up promo from the Outrunners. Good on them. The Patriarchy picked up the victory over the Learning Tree. I think they had some good spots, but there was no way the Patriarchy was losing this. I liked when Big Bill jumped over the spear, but like I said, there was no way the Patriarchy was losing, especially when Kip Sabian got involved, especially when Shayna Wayne got involved. MVP told the Patriarchy that they shouldn't try the Hurt Business, and Christian didn't back down. So I thought that was interesting. I assume that's going to be the match for All In. Do I want to see Christian and Kip Sabian take the titles? No, absolutely not. And I hope that doesn't happen. Yet Brody King and Templario pick up the victory over the Don Callis family. Not even good members of the Don Callis family was Hechicero and Rocky Romero. And this was ultimately a nothing match. Why continue anything from that awful 14-man tag match? There was a bit of a comedy match in intertwined here, with Rocky trying to go up against Brody King. It's just goofy. And then when the heels cheated, the referee yelled at Templario, who was literally on the outside obeying the rules. He didn't say anything to the freaking heels. I hate this. I hate these referees. They're awful. You had Megan Bayne pick up the victory over Vert Vixen. Megan Bayne should be well beyond matches like this. How does this push her towards winning the Casino Gauntlet Battle Royal, or even beating Toni Storm for the championship? Hey, she got another win. Adam Cole picked up the victory over Josh Alexander to retain the TNT Championship. Super slow match. Not bad, but not great. Some of it was way too slow for me. Queen Aminata picked up the victory over Sky Blue. Maybe Queen Aminata is getting a push. It seems like that, but I can't say that for sure because we know AEW start and stop. I don't know why they stopped with Sky Blue. I don't know why they stopped with Julia Hart. As for the match, I like that slapping spot. Sky Blue matched the hard-hittingness of Queen Aminata. Julia afterwards went face-to-face with Queen Aminata. Tekla showed up, and then the three of them beat Queen Aminata down. TJ ran down to make the save, and then Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford came out. This pushes the Casino Gauntlet Battle Royal match. I would hope that Chris Statlander is the one that wins, but we'll see. Kyle Fletcher, they also aired a video package for Alex Windsor, so it's nice to see her get a video package. I don't know if she'll be in the Gauntlet Battle Royal. If she's not winning, then I hope not. I would rather her not have a loss like that if she's not going to win. Main event was Kyle Fletcher picking up the victory over Kyle O'Reilly. Absolutely no way in hell was Kyle O'Reilly winning this match. The Battle of the Kyles. I don't know why this was happening. I don't know why this was main event. None of the other matches were main event worthy. This match wasn't main event worthy. And the only thing that the fans cared about was chanting Kyle in different ways. Lance Archer got involved. Big whoop. They continued the beatdown, and Paragon and Daniel Garcia chased them off. Not a great episode of Collision there. But that is AEW. Hey, Brennan. Got any shout-outs?
This is Miss Piggy, and you should be listening to moi instead of Brandon's shoutouts.
My first shout out goes to We Were Liars, which is a brand new show on Amazon Prime based on a young adult novel based or by the same name. I think it's a perfect like summer thriller to watch, where the family has a private island, a mysterious accident leaves one of the girls with amnesia, and then she goes digging into what happened while everyone else tries to keep it from her. It stars Emily Allen Lind, and there are some big twists and turns that I did not expect. I definitely understand why it's a young adult like novel genre, but I thought it was pretty good. It does kind of leave it open for a season 2, but I don't at the same time think a season 2 is necessary. But I would watch a season 2. So check that out on Amazon Prime. My next shout out goes to Frozen, the hit Broadway musical, which is now out on Disney Plus. So if you didn't get a chance to see it live on Broadway or wherever else it's touring around the world, you could see this. Most of the story is unchanged from Frozen. I do wish I got a chance to see this live when it was actually on Broadway, but the sets I thought were incredible. Yeah, but it's Frozen, so it was one of Disney's
I did
biggest...
see Frozen.
You saw it on Broadway?
I did see Frozen at Hollywood Studios.
I thought you were going to say it's on Broadway. What do you mean on Hollywood Studios? They have a Frozen show? Oh yeah, they do with the it snows from the ceiling.
Yeah, the sing along.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was a sing along.
Yeah, I went with my niece. Who'd you go with?
A bunch of my friends, they were fans of Frozen, and I'm all about doing some karaoke
I'm not
and stuff
shaming
like
you.
that.
It's a fine show. I'm not shaming.
No,
anybody
they did.
For being an adult.
They did a great job, and there was even a few jokes that were really not for kids at times.
There were adult references there.
Yeah,
Also,
it's
in
enjoyable.
the Broadway show, no spoiler alerts or whatever, but there are also adult jokes as well. So, my last shout out goes to WWE LFG, which is back for a second season. The first episode gives us a bit more of a different format. I don't know how different it will be once the actual show gets going. But Mickey James was replaced as a coach by Michelle McCool. Shawn Michaels on
Thanks, Undertaker.
Right.
No, just kidding.
On the first episode, Shawn Michaels was talking about the first season like it was last year. So I thought that was a very odd... Like, they couldn't have, asked him to reshoot it. But
True.
There's 9 superstars returning from season 1, 6 new superstars. I'm almost certain all of the new superstars are on Evolve. And it was really surprising to see how quickly a new season started, given that the first season literally ended a month ago.
Yeah, and it's kind of, I wonder why they're doing it so fast, because it's kind of, you're putting these people in a position once they get done, as we've seen with current people on NXT, and I feel like we already have so many people on the roster.
But that's also we don't know who's coming up to the main roster soon.
Mm-hmm.
So they have these guys and women who are getting actual TV time on A&E, being familiarized with an audience, and that could lead them right into big spots like Jasper Troy.
Mm-hmm.
So check that out on A&E. Those are my shout outs. Now it's time for
Our
Mark Out Moment of the Week.
That is right, our Mark Out Moment of the Week. I did mention it last week, but it wasn't a Mark Out Moment of the Week because we already recorded and it was on SmackDown, and I fully think it deserves a proper Mark Out Moment of the Week. The John Cena pipe bomb.
Thank you.
mentioning Claudio, mentioning Nick Nemeth, mentioning Matt Cardona.
I mean, it was just, there's so much to mark out for it. It was cinema.
The fact that R-Truth was involved in the first pipe bomb, the fact that a table was involved in the first pipe bomb, and this pipe bomb and everything else, the parallels, I thought it was very, very well done.
Mm-hmm.
And
I agree. I think the parallels are probably one of my favorite things about it, outside of like the Matt Cardona and Claudio and that name drop and stuff. I think the parallels I loved. Great writing.
Which then it like led to people spiraling down rabbit holes, and they're like, well, Claudio Castagnoli equals Colt Cabana, and Nick Nemeth equals Nick Jackson, and Matt Cardona equals Matt Jackson. And then there was somebody else found another clip where CM Punk's wearing a Cesaro t-shirt while speaking about Dolph Ziggler and Zack Ryder. Theory after theory came out from this.
So many. My favorite's the Matt and Nick one.
I can't even say that. No, that's a stupid thing, because it does line up somehow. And
plus, it's stuff that you wouldn't necessarily put past John Cena doing. I mean, look at his Instagram feed. I mean,
100%.
Look at his stories.
Yeah.
I'm going to add something, chime in here, a mark out moment, because you're going to probably say it as well. But the new WWE 2K featuring Abyss, we knew that he was going to be there already. But we got his entrance, and we actually have his TNA theme song. He has Janice as well, but he has his theme song.
Yeah, I think it's called Down in the Catacombs, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I believe you're correct.
But yeah,
I listen to that way too often.
So, first of all, as far as like mark out moments go with this DLC, my jaw hit the floor when they showed off Tyrese Halliburton's theme song and his entrance, I should say, and it was Many Men from 50 Cent. I don't know why I popped for that. I was not expecting it for it to be Many Men. But then we found out that we can't use it anywhere else but for him. We can't edit him. We can't edit Jalen Brunson. We can't edit Shaquille O'Neal. So even if you want to change your attires, you freaking can't.
Boo.
So that's very, very annoying. That's completely on brand with them. It must be some sort of contractual thing. But like you said, Abyss being in there with his TNA theme song, with Janice in a WWE video game, it's just beyond surreal. I think it's absolutely amazing. I think Great Khali is a great
really is.
Part of this pack too. They have a unique pin for him. I
didn't see the pin.
He's just doing the one-legged thing where he stands up.
Oh, gotcha. Uh-huh.
And he also has a unique way of getting out of the ring. But
okay,
for a DLC pack where only 2 of them are wrestlers, I think it's a pretty good one. Somebody compared it to the Pat McAfee and Friends one, and I said, how absolutely dare you do that? Because that was a garbage pack.
Way.
That was an absolutely garbage pack. This one I think is cool too. It has basketball taunts. You could use a basketball as a weapon. It has a slam dunk sort of attack as well. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then there's other news. The person that originally leaked all the DLC before it was announced had it come out saying that due to some sort of contractual issue, Travis Scott is most likely canceled. They added in this build of the game with the patch and everything, they added Aleister Black's entrance. And the leaker said that it seems like Aleister Black might be getting added in place of Travis Scott, which is an incredible win.
Upgrade.
A huge upgrade.
Upgrade.
And they also said
125%.
They also said with this DLC pack, they also gave us a Crown Jewel arena, which has never been in a game before. It's been years, and it's never been in the game, so I think that's cool. They gave us, if you have the WrestleMania pack, you get a day version and a night version of WrestleMania. The stage looks incredible with all the people on it. I wish we were able to climb up and do stuff like the SmackDown Fist where we jumped off that in previous games. But it looks great. We also now have to find out who the WrestleMania, with the WrestleMania 41 pack, there's a new superstar, and then there's 2 attires from the WrestleMania main events. But we don't know who they are. The leaker said that it will most likely be Rey Fenix. So if we get Aleister Black and Rey Fenix, I'm like beyond. This is like one of the greatest DLC years ever. We still have next month. We have Penta. We have Bull Nakano. We have Jordan Grace. These are like New Jack is coming. So
yeah, they're starting to really deliver on the additional stuff.
And I've been playing nonstop with Abyss. I've been using Shaquille O'Neal. I'm happy with this DLC set. I don't care about Halliburton. I will say it absolutely sucks what happened to him at the finals of the NBA game.
I know. Like, our thoughts really go out to him, and that's just awful. Awful. I mean, even, okay, so we had everything going against him with the Knicks and stuff like that, but you never want to see somebody actually get hurt.
Especially he's such a big pro wrestling fan. I thought for sure we were going to see Jalen Brunson versus Tyrese Halliburton at SummerSlam in some fashion. That's out the door.
Mm-hmm.
Very unfortunate.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm happy with the DLC pack right now. I'm hoping they fix more things. The game, you get more and more broken as they give us more and more stuff. So I'm hoping. And then apparently El Grande Americano might be a My Faction card soon. I'm hoping it's easy to get. Not always the easiest getting My Faction Persona cards. So we'll see. But that is Markin Out episode 751. Thank you so much for tuning in. You could check us out on Twitter at Markin Out, at BTTG161 on both platforms. Chris Sweendog, CMSween85, David PTDPT, Facebook.com/MarkinOut. YouTube and Instagram are MarkinOut11. ProWrestlingTees.com/MarkinOut. At MarkinOut on TikTok. You can go there, like, share, favorite, comment, duet. Some people are duetting our videos. They're so popular now. Our Triple H and Jey Uso have over 20,000 views, which is insane for me. So I appreciate everybody that's following us over there on TikTok and viewing our videos and interacting with those videos. You could listen. Yeah,
special shout out to Brandon.
I'm all right
for putting together.
I don't like taking credit for things like that, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm giving him props on this because without him, we're definitely not getting any of those views. So kudos, Brandon.
You can rate, review, and subscribe to our show on Apple Podcasts, celebrating, I think it's 20 years of podcasting. So I think that's pretty cool to be part of that. Amazon Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, iHeartRadio, MarkinOut.com, and we wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors.